You don't hear many stories these days about people opening up their homes to strangers, but back in 1958, a local family took in a young man who was bound and determined to make a name for himself at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Tonight on Only in Indiana, Kevin Rader and photographer John Whalen take you back 58 years to AJ's room.
His name is synonymous with the Indianapolis 500. Little wonder why. He's won the race 4 times.
AJ Foyt is going to make motor racing history.
He has fans all around the world, and he has one in this tiny little bungalow in Speedway, and little wonder why. It all started here.
The first time I come here, you know, they wouldn't let me in for a week because my car hadn't showed up. And then I rented a basement here at the Speedway and slept on a kind of an army cot.
He was not the legend he was to later become. It was 1958. Sam Hank's picture was on the ticket to the 500 that year. Foyt was a rookie, and he needed a place to stay. Louise Burkope and her husband Foster were longtime race fans and just so happened to be renting out their basement for extra income.
I think I went since 1941.
Oh my gosh. Did you enjoy the races?
Oh yeah.
What?
Naturally, because AJ Foyt roomed here first year, you know, and then it seemed like we had renters in the basement all the time.
It wasn't anything fancy by any means, but it was something to enable members of crews and a few drivers to have a place to stay during the month of May.
I think it's $10 or $12 a week, but it was better than backseat of my car.
He was here his rookie year, which would have been 1958, and maybe not as well known as a driver locally at that time, but he certainly became a fan favorite.
I bet you cheered for him from then on, didn't you?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Foyt, who seemed like an also-ran only seconds ago, is safely back in the lead.
And there was plenty to cheer about. He would win the 500 3 years later in 1961.
AJ Foyt takes the checkered flag for a new record of 139+ miles per hour.
And subsequently, in 1964, 67, and 77.
He has won his 4th Indianapolis 500.
Louise Burkope was 42 years old when AJ was attended in 1958, but she still remembers that week with pride, even now,
Mark,
at the age of 100.
So that was one way I was getting some money, was renting out our bedrooms in the basement.
I do remember a couple of the drivers. Herb Porter stayed here. He was a pretty well-known engine person at that time.
200,000 people from every state in the Union and 18 foreign countries.
It was a different time. The build-up to the race ran for the entire month of May, so it was not at all unusual for drivers and their crews to stay in close proximity to the track.
Them beds wasn't that comfortable, no army cot, but at least it kept the rain off my head, and I appreciate what she did for me, because at that time I needed a lot of help.
Did you hear any great stories from people when they were staying with you about stuff that was going on over there?
Oh, probably.
I don't think they do that anymore. I think they've come a long way. Either a motorhome or a hotel, right?
If I was reborn, I wouldn't change my life at all, because I know what it's like to be on the bottom. I know what it's like to be on top, but anyway, it wound up pretty good.
It worked out pretty well for everybody. AJ's room is not for rent anymore.
Did you ever have anybody stay here who actually won the race?
No.
Ugh.
No.
Do you miss it?
Oh, sure.
What do you miss
But
about
I
it?
still go to the race.
So this 100-year-old race fan can't wait to see the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500. It also means after 58 years, the landlord is still cheering for the legend. Kevin Rader, Channel 13, Eyewitness News.
By the way, Louise retired after 25 years at Eli Lilly and Company and then went back to track, and she worked there for 23 more years. She still lives in the same house that she and her husband Foster built back in 1941.